right, go ahead with the intro.
Yo, it's your man Tracey M Jackson, aka TMJ Inc. I'm going live with my man Romeo Devine. I'm going on YouTube, Instagram, you name it, social media. He's doing it, Romeo Devine.
So how long you been doing stand-up comedy, and what made you decide to try it?
Man, I've been doing stand-up comedy forever. And what made me decide to try it was family kept saying, "You're so funny, you should be a comedian. You should go over there and do some stand-up. Go ahead and have your business. Get us rich." And at one time my dad was watching the Huxtables. What was the name of that show, man? With Theo and all them.
Oh, Cosby Show.
Yeah, the Cosby Show. And he's like, "Why can't you be my Theo Huxtable?" And I'm like, "Motherfucker, why can't you be my Cliff Huxtable?" So bottom line is, I'm still scraping. Theo still spending that Cosby cash.
So you're still out there grinding?
Yeah, man, I'm grinding like a fat girl on the dance floor.
So talk to people about what the Washington D.C. comedy scene is or is not, from your impression as somebody who's been in the game for a while.
Okay, the D.C. comedy scene has gone dry. D.C. comedy scene to me ain't been the same since 2010. Because you got a lot of guys that want to be funny and call themselves comedians / comics. They're getting rooms and really ain't doing too much with them. They packing them with comics and not people. Because you need people to enjoy the show, so you don't have this thing what I call comic view, is when you got comics viewing other comics doing their thing and ain't no regular people there to enjoy the show. It's just people taking notes.
So why do you think that is? You think they just a lack of awareness on how to promote an event? Are they so busy trying to hook their buddies up they're forgetting about the audience?
Oh man, all the above. Because they so bent on taking over rooms, but they're not focusing on getting the people into the rooms. Because there's a science to that. And with comedy and any other thing, like if you're a band, you gotta play music that people want to hear. And if you're a comedian, you gotta be funny and telling jokes and connecting with people that want to come out and see and hear what you got to say. So,
talk about the scene from a sense that it seems to be very segregated. Like you seem to have like black shows and white shows. Talk a little bit about that and like your optic on that.
Man, that was
as much as you want to share.
That was a good question. You know what I mean? Because the black rooms versus the white rooms, they call it.
Or would they say urban room versus mainstream?
Yeah, exactly. It ain't really urban. It ain't really mainstream. It's just that you got some black folks that just like to hear a person cuss all day. That ain't funny unless it's funny.
Yeah.
And then you got white people that love to come and see these urban comics because they don't get that in that mainstream room. But a mainstream comic is able to transcend over all the rooms and do whatever. I call it that crossover act.
Yeah.
Because you're able to relate to everybody on their level. Because you can't be a black comic talking about food stamps and shit to a crowd that don't even know what the fuck food stamp is. That don't work.
Yeah. So why do you think it is a segregated comedy scene in some sense? Like, why do you think more comics from various backgrounds aren't doing more shows together?
All right, this is what I think. People be scared. Motherfuckers be scared. They be scared to put on somebody that's funny because they don't want to lose their little bit of shine with their people. What's going to happen? People going to jump out there and be funny, and your people going to follow them. It's like doing a bringer show. If you do a bringer show and you bring your whole family out and you win, you didn't really win. That's just your folks helping you out.
Yeah.
But in real life, you're still corny.
So what about the state of the comedy game overall in DC? Where would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest? Where do you say it's at right now?
It's a 5. It's stuck in the middle, like that Michael Jackson song. Too high to get over, too low to get under. Stuck in the middle. But I'm going to change all that because I've been working on something. I got a whole new thing I'm going to be doing for DC comedy. I came back out and said I was working on something. 2014, stalled out on that because I got too busy focused on myself. Because when you too busy putting on shows, people will actually forget that you're a comedian and just look at you as a promoter.
Sure.
So I got back into doing comedy full time.
So you're going to do the comedy and the promoter thing simultaneously, but just try to have more balance?
Yep. And what's going to happen is I'm going to be promoting the show, but you won't see me hosting it all the time.
Okay.
And that's be an opportunity to put other comics on so they can do their thing and blow up. So
would you say overall people in the DC comedy scene are supportive of each other overall?
Overall, yeah, I'm gonna say they're supportive, because you got those that like to hate and watch your ass at the same time, and that's a beautiful thing, because when you got your haters watching you, I mean, you're busy. I mean, you're doing something worthy of somebody else's attention. They really don't fuck with you.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. So who are some of the people you're close to on the comedy scene? Because it seems like people have their comedy family.
Yeah.
So who are some of the folks that you're close to?
The folks I'm close to, man, everybody I got back in the game with. Because I came back out doing comedy full time 2008.
Okay.
After I had a little surgery on my head, right? And had to relearn a lot of stuff. That's something that everybody don't know about me.
Oh wow. Okay. So you had a medical situation you had to take care of,
right?
And then you had to slowly get back,
right?
And a lot of people don't know that. They just thought, oh, where's this guy been?
Exactly.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what was that process like, trying to get back in the game after having to focus on something way more important?
Oh man, it was work. When I say it was work, I'm like, man, it was like baby steps all over again. And then just popping back out, I jumped into a little comedy competition, did the show, won it, and then I asked the guy that was doing it, promoting the contest, how far is this going to go? What happens next? And he said, oh, we just come back next week and do the show again. I was like, wasting my time.
Yeah. So I always ask every comedian this when I interview them. Most of the time you do a show, somebody agrees to pay you a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And often they don't meet that agreement.
Right.
They want to try to compensate you in a different way.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest way somebody's tried to compensate you? Like, people have told me anything from gift certificates to EBT cards. Has anybody ever tried to pay you in something other than cash? Like a bag of weed or something?
Yeah, in the past, back in the day, back when drugs was good in the DC area. Here, man, take this half ounce, man.
Yeah.
Like if this shit is other part, I'm gonna make my money back and then some. But now, shit, you better have my money.
So right now, you want that money, right?
Exactly.
It ain't like it was back in the day.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's like even doing shows for friends and stuff like that. I won't necessarily do a show. I show up and talk about people for free, but there will not be any material used. Because end of the day, it's a business, and that's how I'm trying to eat good.
Yeah. So do you find that, because sometimes people will say comics aren't good as they should be on the business side.
Oh,
everything is a handshake and verbal, right. And then it comes time to get paid, and it's like, but talk about that a little bit, like, as far as that, having been the funny person, but then also having that formal part and handling the business side of it.
All right. So the business side of it is, man, I always get paid, and I have not. Depending on the money, we don't need no paperwork. All right.
Okay.
And just know that if I'm driving this, that, and other, I need my deposit. So you must get a deposit depending on where you're going, how you're traveling.
Okay.
Depending on what type of show it is, make sure you enforce your rider. And for those who don't know what a rider is, that's your list of demands.
Okay. So have you ever had a moment where you said, wow, maybe this comedy thing isn't for me? Like a show that didn't go as well as you wanted it to go, or just one of those nights where the room wasn't feeling you? Have you ever had one of those moments where you were like, I don't know, where you had to really think about it, that if this is what you really wanted to do?
No. I've always been that killer out there.
Okay.
The only thing I regret is I did the Africa Comedy Central show. Only American on the show. My boy Ed Blaze, Dulo. I can't even think of this female name. She's a female Ellen DeGeneres of Africa.
Okay.
And this is what happened, man. I got roofied.
Was this show filmed here in the States?
Nah, it was filmed over in Africa and Tanzania.
Wow.
Yeah, I got roofied, man.
Wow. Roofied. So before the performance or after?
After the performance. Okay. You know, after you get off stage, everybody passing you drinks. Good job, good show. This, that, another. All I know is I felt like I was having a heart attack.
Wow.
Right? I disappeared, came back. I had a key in my pocket to the Marriott, right? I was standing at some little off hole in the wall spot. And I just couldn't figure out. So I went to the hospital and checked my blood for toxins and all that. And I was like, man, they got you. Yeah. But this what Africans think. They think